Hi mamas, welcome to my kitchen. It's a little messy today, but kitchens are supposed to be like that. So this week we are going to be focusing on meal planning. So last week we talked about what your plate should actually look like, and hopefully you were able to really kind of analyze what you were doing previously and maybe start to make that transition towards eating more like that plate now. And if you were not able to do that because maybe you went out and bought all your groceries before, let's really jump into that this week. So today I want to keep this short, but I have so much to tell you because it's like my favorite thing, which most people dread, and that is meal planning and meal prepping. And even though if you're not a dork like me, it can be annoying and painful, it just makes the week so much easier, and it really guarantees that you are getting good nutrition into your body. All right, so the first thing I do is I dedicate a day each week to part of this process. Now, life gets in the way and sometimes that gets jumbled up, but typically Friday nights, because I am wild and crazy, I sit down with my planner and I map out what we're going to have for the next week. I just want to give a shout out to my planner. This thing is awesome. I will put a link to it below this video. I'm a girl that loves Jesus, but I don't always give him the time he needs every morning. So not only does this let you document your food throughout the week, your fitness throughout the week, but it also makes you pause and really think about, here's my mumble jumble, praying for, what you're grateful for, today's scripture, your workout, and then it has breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks on there along with what you have to do that whole day. I don't always fill out the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a little too much for me, but it really, as you're starting off, kind of gets you in the right frame of mind for this. So the reason I say have your planner, and I'm old school, I do it this way, is because you need to know what's going on next week. So if you have a night where you are rushing to a work meeting or a kid's going to soccer or just someone's coming over for dinner, you don't want to plan to have some elaborate new meal going on. You need something quick that you can throw into the oven or just reheat and have. So that's why it's nice to have this guy around. And if you're anything like me, if it doesn't get into the calendar, it doesn't get done. So I literally have my entire life written in here. If you are stuck with, well, what do we even eat? In the back of most calendars, you should have like a blank notes page, something like that. I would start, and you don't have to finish it in one sitting, but I would kind of just make a list of what your family likes to eat. So even if it's just, lasagna or grilled cheese or soup or something like that, just make a list so when you're in a rush, you can just flip back and pull from some of those. Another thing you can do is, if you're super creative, I lack in that department, is to come up with a theme for every night. So maybe Monday will be meatless, so you'll have something like pasta and veggies. Tuesday could be taco night, and so on. For me, Thursdays are always clean out the fridge. That is because I use an online farmer's market, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And so I get the delivery Thursday afternoons, so I want things out of the fridge so I can put the new stuff in. I will touch on farmers markets in just a little bit. So that's what you really want to do. You want to sit down and plan out. And now that you have that picture of your plate in your head with the starchy, non-starchy protein, it's 3 things you can just go bam, bam, bam to plug in to have every night for dinner. And I will be sharing some of my favorite recipes to try out. Honestly, I don't use recipes. If I'm cooking for someone, I will, but they take up too much time. I literally chop and roast everything, and I use my crock pot like 5 days a week. It just makes life better. All right, so that's my first step. So once I do that, I will sit down, and the other thing I like about this, I promise I don't get paid for doing this, but the other thing I like about this planner, if I can find one, is that before each week, it lists your grocery list. So I flip through my planner and I say, okay, Sunday night we're having this, so I write those things down on this grocery list. Monday night we're having this, I write it down. That way I don't just go into the grocery store and I'm like, oh, what should I buy? It's nice, it's concise, it's right there. I usually take a picture on my phone so I don't have to lug this thing into the grocery store. So Saturdays are usually the day I devote to going to the grocery store and getting all of this stuff. And again, that can change depending on the weekend. So we planned. Now we've gone out and we've gotten the stuff. Some of you might just want to end there, and then each morning you don't even have to think. You can just flip to your book and you say, okay, tonight we're having this, and then when you get home from work, or if you're not working as it's approaching dinner time, you can just pull it out of the fridge and go. Others of you might want to get a little head start. I used to spend like 3 hours over the weekend chopping everything up, bagging it, putting it in little containers, throwing it in the fridge so that in the morning I could literally pull the stuff out. And like I said, I love to roast everything. So I would just put it on a pan like this, throw it in the oven so that when I got home, I could just heat up the oven and there it is all ready to go. Now, I found that things were not always lasting throughout the whole week, and also, the sooner you cut things, the sooner it loses its nutritional value. And if it's either lose a little nutritional value or go out to McDonald's, then lose the nutritional value. But I found that waking up about 20, 30 minutes earlier each morning, I know you're saying I can't wake up any earlier, but doing that and making these sheets up that morning before has really helped. That way, they're only sitting for a few hours before you cook them versus sitting for a few days in the fridge. So that is my game plan. And right here, today I shot this video on a Thursday, so it's clean out the fridge. So I chopped up eggplant, yellow squash, and tomatoes. I'm going to drizzle some olive oil on top of this, salt and pepper, throw it in the oven. I also got up and just threw some green beans in a pot that will take no time at all to boil. And here I have some corn that I'm also have in the pot ready to go to add water and boil. And then in my crock pot, I have a whole chicken. I never buy parts of a chicken. Different parts of animals have different have different nutrients in them. They store them in different places. So you are robbing yourself of those nutrients when you just buy chicken breast. Also, cook this one time and then you have chicken left over for lunch or the rest of the week. So that's kind of my thing. That I'll just turn on in the morning and get going. So as you can see, things are set up. So when everybody starts whining that they're hungry tonight, I can just throw it in the fridge. And this literally took me 20 minutes in the morning because I had a plan and I just chop, threw on the pan to go. All right, so that's dinner. That's really how I operate with dinner. It may work for you. It may not work for you. You just kind of have to play around with it. If you have something that works for you, please share it with us in the group because I would love to learn from you too. So as far as lunches go, I tend to be a little boring with lunch because I think too much about dinner. I love mason jar salads. If you have never heard of this, just Google it, go on Pinterest. It's a black hole out there. Just don't get too lost in it. I reserve Sundays for making my mason jar salads, and I'll make them Monday through Friday. So I'll make 5 of them. And it looks like a lot of work, but honestly, if you have mason jars, you don't have to use mason jars. I just collect these things. So I line up 5 mason jars. I just get a bunch of veggies, chop them up, and then you can set these things up and just like you see, I have tomatoes at the bottom. Just took a handful of tomatoes and I plopped in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have radishes, chop them up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you're really chopping once and you're going to eat 5 times. And the beauty of this is that it's an upside down salad. So whether you're eating at work or you're eating at home, what you can do is you can take this and then dump it out upside down and your salad's ready to go. So in here, I have mostly my non-starchy vegetables. I also have a layer of, and my computer went off on me, sorry. I have a layer of leftover veggies from the night before, which is another good tip. Cook once, eat twice. I always pile on the veggies, hoping we have leftovers, although my husband eats it majority of the time. And then I'll just dump them on top of my salad the next day. Now, I work from home, so I'm able to make this at home. So you'll notice this is all veggies. I don't have a protein in there. What I like to do is to scramble an egg real quick right before lunch. So I dump this on, put the egg on top. Another thing you can do, this is quinoa that I cooked. You can do rice, lentils, beans. You can cook them over the weekend, store them in a jar, and just take a scoop of that and add to your salad. Other things you can do, this is canned tuna that's upside down. Like I said, if you do the crock pot, you can have leftover chicken. You can get nuts, seeds to put on top of it. Also, I love adding an avocado. Got ahead of myself. But I don't like to put that in the jar because it gets brown by the time I go to eat it. If you are going to work, you can just package these things up with, you have seen mason jars that have like a compartment on top so it doesn't touch the salad. You can put things on. You can store dressing in your office, wherever you are, or you can put the dressing at the bottom. I'll put a link to a bunch of these mason jar salad recipes just to kind of give you an idea. But it takes me like 15 minutes to do this, and then you have lunch for the whole week. Finally, breakfast. Breakfast is always crazy, especially since we are getting ready to start school and I got to get out the door by 7:15 every morning. So I personally like to switch my breakfast up. Sometimes I'll have an omelet. Sometimes I'll have yogurt with some different things in it. And sometimes I just need to make pancakes. So whenever I have free time over the weekend, I will just make some different pancakes and then freeze them individually. And then the night before, I have to remember, but I go in and I will take out however many pancakes we need for the day. Mostly these are for the girls. And then I defrost them, and then in the morning you just kind of heat them up and they're ready to go. All right, so that was kind of like a drive-by of how I manage to meal plan and meal prep during the week. Again, maybe you want to just take one of these to focus on. I would actually recommend doing that. Don't try to do this all in 1 week. Maybe you want to do some mason jars. Maybe you want to sit down with your planner and be like, okay, let me get a plan going, theme nights going here. Maybe you have extra time. You can make some pancakes, muffins to freeze ahead of time. I am going to be linking to Fall Line Farms, which is the online farmers market I use, and south of the James. Summertime works a little backwards for me because I like to go to those farmers markets and see what they have on Saturday morning and then sit down and plan with everything that I have spread out all over the table. Local food is the most nutritious food for you, and now's the time to do it. So if you want to visit those or if you already go there, kudos to you. I'll also link the mason jar salads for you, and I will link my planner just so you could peek around and kind of see. Maybe you can make up your own, or if you have a great planner out there that lets you list your food and your fitness as well, please share it. So this was a little bit longer, but as always, ask questions, share struggles, successes, everything that y'all are doing, and I can't wait to see what kind of healthy habits you're going to establish this week. Thanks, guys.